Okay, so this is just one of an example of like dozens of different book tests you can do. Say you're just, you're drinking your coffee at the coffee shop and you're like, hey, how's it going? You're pretty hot. What are you reading there? And she's like, oh, I'm reading this book called Hugels. And I'm like, oh, I'm reading this crappy book. But it's a, kind of an assignment type thing. But anyway, let me try something. I'll trade you. I'll give you my book. I'll take yours. So you give your book to her, and then you take her book. And then you just kind of flip through, and she says stop, and then you show her the page, and she calls out whatever the page is. In this case, it's 105, and you say, okay, turn to page 105 in your book. And then when you get there, just look at the page, and look at the first line and read it to yourself, and blah blah blah. And you can tell her exactly what it is because it's your book and it's gaffed, and we'll talk about that later. But now you can tell her exactly what's in her book. You gave her book back, and you take your book back, and now you just. You do the same thing. You go through, she calls stop, and you page 175. And she turns to page 175 and looks in her book, and you can tell her exactly what's on the page in her own freaking book. Just one of dozens of possible presentations with the coolest book test ever.